How to handle post-election family holidays, 70 per meter, 81, f. I've been married for almost 44 years, and when I met my wife I told her that I would never come between her and her kids. The problem I have is that her kids and their wives are die-hard Christian nationalist MAGA cultists. They are rejoicing that Trump won. I'm a veteran, and when I entered the military over 50 years ago I took an oath to uphold the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. The domestic enemy has just been re-elected as president. The thought of having to sit at the Thanksgiving table with people who I consider traitors to our country makes my stomach hurt. How can I take aid and succor from people I feel are enemies of our country? I don't want to ruin the holidays for my wife, but I can't and won't betray my oath. When he was elected before, I was barely able to keep my feeling in check, and my wife and I had several disagreements over it. Now that we all know what his plans are for America, I have even greater loyalty to my oath. More importantly, how do I convey this to my wife and eventually to her children? My wife shares my sentiments about Trump and isn't happy with her kids for voting for him, but they're her kids. I'm more than willing to drop her off and come back for her after the holiday is over. Holidays are just another day, and having been in the military, spending a holiday without family around is no big deal to me. TLR. How to handle the holidays with MAGA cult family members and not puke on the Thanksgiving table. If you're in the position to just drop your wife off, maybe just fake a cold or a stomach bug. It's not the most mature thing to do, but it's probably the easiest. I presume you can be honest with your wife and just tell her the disappointment is too raw. If you can't send her on her own, you could some or all of these things. Spend the day volunteering with an organization in or near her kids' town. Create a fictional veteran buddy who is going to be in kids' town that you're visiting instead. Go to the movies by yourself. Rent a hotel room for yourself and ask for early check-in. Watch sports with noise-canceling headphones. Get a headache from the drive and need to lie down until it's time to leave. Again, take and use noise-canceling headphones or earplugs. I hope you find a way to avoid having a miserable day. In 2016, a lot of families chose to forego large holiday celebrations to avoid having political discussions. That might be what you and your wife have to do. Make alternate plans this year. If history repeats itself, the people who are excited by the results this year probably won't be so excited next year. Why not take her on a nice trip somewhere? Let the kids organize their own thing this year. Be sick that day. Cough cough. Maggots can't not gloat, bully, abuse. So just be sick that day. Sounds like we're about the same age. I just couldn't do it. Semper Fi. Do I, 40M, give my ex-wife, 40F, another chance years after a disastrous divorce? Hey all. Throw away because Reddit. I, 40M, and my ex-wife, 40F, were divorced during COVID, 4 years ago. It was messy, and her family was directly responsible for it. Backstory. Ex and I had been friends since elementary school, over 20 years of friendship before we got married. We had similar interests, took multiple of the same classes, and even went out on one super awkward date in our high school times. We both had crushes on each other forever, but timing and other people being in the picture held off our love until we were 32 years old. At which point we reconnected, and all of our past condensed into this relationship of insanely strong bonds as a result of knowing each other for so long. This is where I get myself in trouble, I think. I had known this person for so long and spent so much time with them when we were younger that I knew her true self. Turns out, people change. I don't want to get into the specifics for the sake of anonymity, but let's just say that morally, politically, etc. this person had done a complete 180. However, I was too dumbstruck in love with this person. I mean, how great of a story is that? A childhood crush comes back in your 30s and everything is perfect? I hit the jackpot. Or so I thought. For context and to get the best help, advice. We both grew up in a very liberal setting, aligned on worldviews, etc. The person I married was still that same person, but with a different spirit inside her. We dated for roughly 4 years before getting married. Married for only a year, and divorced during the second year of COVID, 2021. We were forced to move into her family house with her mom and siblings. This is the beginning of the end. When my ex and I were together it was perfect. I couldn't imagine a better relationship, all the things. However, there were some past events in the family that led to some really strong trauma bonding. This is where living with this insanely dysfunctional family comes to kill the marriage, although I acknowledge it probably would have never worked out if this is how it ended. The countless days of being in an environment that was not conducive to what I thought was our lifestyle really took its toll. I was overpowered by the family in my thoughts and opinions, all the while my ex-wife just stood by silently while I stood my ground against a couple of her family members. The incident. It was the Friday after Thanksgiving. My ex and I were winding down and got into an argument. It was about how we cooked the leftover meal for everyone. This was a regular couple's spat. It wasn't heated, there was no name-calling, just mostly like a, "Hey, we could have done this better," discussion. This is when things fly off the rails. Apparently her brother had been listening to our conversation, weird, and decided he'd butt into it. I'm going to chalk it up to him and his buddy being shithouse drunk. He gets into my face about the way I was talking to my sister. My ex doesn't know how to handle the situation. She's always hated confrontation and just kinda goes deer in the headlights as this guy unloads on me. It started with the argument, which if you've ever been married or a long-time relationship you know is a natural thing. It's just about how you handle the problem that makes your relationship grow. He then proceeded to lay into me about being a loser, which is when I stopped taking the abuse and finally snapped. I'm a successful man with a great job. This guy can barely hold down a job and hasn't paid taxes in like 5 years. I try to talk him down, all the while my ex is just embarrassed, silent in the corner. I pack a bag, call an Uber and spend the night at my parents'. The next day, I get a picture texted to me. It's literally all of my stuff boxed up and put out in the front yard. It's not as bad as it sounds as the front yard has a gate around it, but it's still absolutely fucked. Turns out her brother has had enough of me and convinced my wife to pack up my shit and kick me to the curb. I filed for divorce within a couple months. It was finalized, all said and done. Nope, sorry for the long backstory, but if I'm asking for legit advice I think it's important. Fast forward to July 2024. My ex-wife out of the blue contacts me. I literally had zero contact for nearly 4 years. She and her family had moved across country to a different state. She is apologetic, says she's moving back to the town I live in and would like to meet up and see if we can fix things. Goddamn Reddit, the years of therapy, roughly 10 years, the emotional intelligence I've gained, everything was all completely flipped upside down. Absolute tailspin, drinking too much, skipping out on work and friend functions. Just a complete mess. It's fucked. What I'm struggling with, and what I need advice with is this. I love this woman. I will always love this woman. This woman has completely broken my trust, and ruined my life. I can never go back to her. I'm stuck in this cyclical anxiety, stress, whatever the fuck loop. How can I ever trust her? But I really want to give her another shot, especially if what she's saying is true. Please help Reddit. Side note. I've left details out of certain parts on purpose. If you need things filled in let me know and I'll do my best. Block her. You don't love who she really is. You love who you thought she was. She put your shit on the curb with no discussion. Has she completely cut ties with her family? Has she gone to therapy and worked through the toxicity and her response to it? What about the other incompatibilities that you've somewhat glossed over amid all the family drama? Frankly, I don't think you have anything to gain from exploring this. You're still hanging on to this idea that you were destined to be from the moment you met as kids, and reality has not borne that out. Tell her you wish her well, but that's as fixed as things are going to get, and schedule an emergency session or 5 with your therapist if you need help moving on from there. You can meet up with her and chat. You can share about her family and how everything impacted you. You can share how you felt she never backed you up. That's not restarting a relationship, but it does help with closure and you'll figure out pretty quick if she's grown or still the same person from 4 years ago. I mean, she packed your shit and left it on the lawn. And then never even tried to rectify the situation. Over a leftovers meal. Listen to yourself. Nothing says you need to hold on to bitterness or anger, but it's over. Why now? Why not then? I was once told, exes are exes for a reason, and that's been true. You'd be a shithead to even talk to her seriously. Go back to therapy. My 29 female boyfriend, 37 male, got drunk and spent the night at a new female friend's house. My boyfriend of 7 years and I live in an isolated rural area. We rarely go out and both work from home. On top of this, we both have some anxiety and have a hard time to meet new people. He recently made a new friend from work who invited him for a drink in the big city, where she lives. A 2-hour drive from our house. He was supposed to have a drink with her and then go to stay at his mom's house for the night. However, he got pretty drunk and ended up missing the last train to get to his mom's house and was stuck in the city. He texted me all of this. I asked him if he was okay and if he needed me to book him a hotel. Keep in mind we are poor. This would have been a huge expense. He didn't respond. I texted again, asking him to just let me know that he is okay and that has a place to stay. He didn't respond for about 45 minutes, it was almost midnight, and didn't answer when I called. Finally he answered the second time I called, was indeed very drunk, and told me he was staying at his new, female, friend's place. He asked if I minded. I was very upset because this is not only out of character for him. He never sleeps over at friends' places, let alone a new friend. Let alone a new female friend. But he also had texted me that he was stuck in the city and then never texted me back to reassure me that he was okay. Nonetheless, I told him it was okay, because I just wanted him to be safe. But that I was upset he didn't respond to me and made me worry. Not to mention if the roles were reversed, if I had met a new male friend and needed to stay at his place, he would have been supremely pissed and very insecure. Of this, I am sure. He insisted that everything was okay, that he would never cheat on me. I asked if he wanted to fuck her and he said no. I asked if she wanted to fuck him and he said no. But, at the very least, I'm not sure if I believe the latter. I've seen them together and she looked pretty into him. So, do you think this is something I should insist on? Is this a big deal? I am a pretty jealous and paranoid partner, so I am not sure how to measure this, as it has never happened before. It is really out of character for him to do something like this. I can't decide if it is a fluke and weird chance of events, or if this is something that implies a certain subconscious desire he may have to spread his wings and explore. He used to be poly before we met. Any advice is appreciated, thank you. I'm trying to figure out how going out to drinks with a girl he just met, 2 hours away, and then getting shit-faced and staying at her place is at all appropriate in a monogamous relationship. I mean, even going out to drinks with someone 2 hours away is extreme, like I wouldn't even do that with a friend of mine. Face with raised eyebrow. Sounds like a date to me. I'd never do a 2-hour commute for a friend, for just a drink. I'd definitely be interested in them to make that kind of journey. IDK. I wouldn't be comfortable with my boyfriend going on a date with another girl, getting drunk with her, and staying at her place. But that's just me. So he's totally cool with you going to the city with a new guy friend from work, getting so drunk with the guy that you miss your train. So then you and drunk guy stayed together at drunk guy's place, and even though drunk guy is into? So long as what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Why you let your boyfriend go on a date with another woman is my only question. But every relationship is different, I guess. I'd be hanging out getting blackout drunk and staying the night at male coworkers' houses ASAP. Update me. Adults don't go on dates with new friends of the opposite sex, then get drunk and have a sleepover. Adults have sex. Too long did not read. Boyfriend of 7 years went on a date with a female coworker and crashed at her place. Boyfriend denies they smashed. This is well out of bounds for any monogamous relationship. You're not being paranoid, what happened is inappropriate. How you proceed is up to you, but I strongly suggest you establish a boundary that what happened is not okay and cannot happen again. Good luck. My BF, 18M, thinks I'm chubby but I'm 20F, not. My boyfriend, 18M, says I'm chubby, but I, 20M, don't think so. We have been dating for 4 months. I am 156 centimeters and weighs in the 47-49 range. By BMI standards, I am a 19.7 skewing leftward on the healthy scale. But for context purposes, I am the typical skinny fat body type with more excess fat on my arms, face and a bit on the stomach. Overall though, I am considered proportionate. I have a pear-shaped body with a slimmer waist to hip ratio. By all means, I don't think I would be fat, but I also don't know what most people think chubby is. I personally don't think I'm chubby, but when my boyfriend calls me that, he doesn't seem to be coming from a bad place or have bad intentions to hurt my feelings. I feel a bit indifferent, but I also think objectively, he shouldn't have said that, not because my feelings were hurt, but because I don't think chubby applies to me objectively. What does everyone think? I think he is negging you. He is negging you. I think this is less about if this specific label fits you and more about how it makes you feel. Have you asked him why he says this? Have you told him you don't like it? I think that if he's insulting your body he shouldn't see it naked. Your measurements or actual weight don't matter. Have you told him his comments are unpleasant? Ask him to stop if you are uncomfortable. The classic manipulation technique of making someone believe that they are not good looking enough for the manipulator. Is your boyfriend a nutritionist or doctor to be bothered by your weight by any chance? No. So dump this idiot.